Alright, let's go ahead and start with the first sketchbook, and this first sketchbook is really bad. It's my first time ever plein air painting. I did it all in watercolor, and I think I started it around April, so a little ways through the year is when I set this resolution to get better at plein air painting. Alright, so you can see here, it's not super great. I'm still playing around with how I want to work with the watercolor. I didn't really know if I wanted to do ink drawings and then paint inside of it, or if I wanted to do a more cartoony style, or houses, or whatever. A lot of these paintings were done during lunch. When I was working at the animation studio, we would just get an hour for lunch and we would usually go outside and me and a couple friends would go plein air painting. And so these were usually about 45 minutes long if you factor in eating. And some of them I'm okay with, like I like this one, it's pretty good. It could definitely be better. But it's a lot of experimentation. You know, I'm trying to play with shafts of light. It kind of just looks like slime. And, you know, umbrellas and saturation. Trying to incorporate people into my illustrations, and it never really succeeding. My buddy Gerald Lewis drew this little design for me because I wanted to paint something. I had just bought these gouache paints and I wanted to try some gouache painting. And so I asked him to draw me a little character because he's an amazing character designer. I'll put a link to his work in the description below, but he's really good and I did not do this drawing justice. Kind of ruined it. And then that is it. A lot of the pages have been ripped out, probably through frustration or just through starting a bad drawing and being upset, because that happened a lot. You know, I'd like to say that I'm better than that, but I will tear a drawing out of my sketchbook if I don't like it. Alright, so sketchbook number 2. This is where I started to get a little bit more serious. I kind of realized that watercolor wasn't working for me and gouache was the way to go. And so I started doing these gouache studies from photos. They're all pretty small and I spent about 35 minutes to an hour on each of these studies. And I like how they came out. It's not how I would paint it now, but at the time it was really helping me to kind of mix and match my colors and see how I liked painting. So these are all done from photos, and then I tried to do some from imagination, which I actually really enjoyed, and I'm not sure why I didn't do more of it. But this was done totally from imagination, and it was super fun to do. And then there are definitely the failures. I was trying to paint a mountain here, but it didn't work. And then we got some villages, unfinished paintings, and this one I liked. It was just a street with overcast lighting, kind of some houses on the water, and I was playing with a style that I was trying to achieve in imaginative paintings. And then, you know, just because I'm always carrying it around, I would take it, and when we were doing coffee shop sketching, I would just pull out my paint book, and instead of drawing people, I would just try to paint them and get a feel for that. They weren't all successful. A lot of them weren't. And these are views from my backyard, so if I'm sitting on the porch in my backyard, these are some of the things that I'm looking at because I live in a pretty wooded area right now. And so I was just painting little vignettes from my backyard. And I tried to do that every morning for about a week before I ended up stopping for some reason or another. I kind of like this one. Yeah, this is from a photo study, definitely. This is also from a photo, and I was trying to deal with complex, like masses of foliage in gouache, just because that's something that's always been tricky for me, whether I'm painting in gouache or I'm painting digitally. Complex, you know, walls of trees and bushes always provided me struggles, so I've always been trying to tackle that, and I still don't think I've gotten it right, but it's one of those white whales. And so you can see I'm definitely improving because I'm trying to put more rigorous practice in. I was doing, for this sketchbook, I probably filled it up in about less than a month. I would say probably maybe 3 weeks, because I was just burning through it. And I was trying to get as much painting as done as I could possibly do, so I would carry this around with me everywhere I go. And if I ever met anyone for lunch or did anything, I would stay afterwards and paint a picture after they went home. So this, I met someone for coffee, and then we stayed and talked for about 2 hours, and then they said they were ready to go, and I said I'm going to stay, and I went to my car, grabbed my gouache, and I painted that, and then I went home. And then this one was from imagination, but I didn't finish it, and that's unfortunate because I kind of liked where it's going. So that is book 2. Book 3. I finished book 2 and I immediately jumped right into book 3. I didn't wait at all. I just started painting, and a lot of these paintings are done from most of these paintings are done from reference or done from life. That was my main goal here, was to improve at studying life. So I think that's kind of why I dropped the imaginary paintings, even though I really liked doing them, and I probably should keep doing them. My main goal was to be a plein air painter, or just to improve my plein air painting skills. And these couple of paintings, this one and this one, these were just 5-minute color studies. I went to the beach with my family and I decided to paint while we were at the beach, and it turns out that is a really hard place to focus when you have your dad and your brother and his girlfriend all there throwing sand at you. So that didn't work out too well. And then just driving, a lot of the times I would stop while driving and just pull over to the side of the road and paint. Driving from Atlanta to Florida, you would pass a lot of Air Force bases, and they would always have planes out for display. So I stopped at a bunch of Air Force plane bases and went out and started painting. And then this is from life. This is the coffee shop that I normally go to, and I painted this scene a bunch of times. And then I tried to do some drawings from reference, trying to realistically capture like light and glow. Each painting kind of had a goal and a story, and a lot of them failed. This one, it looks kind of nice now, but I know for a fact that I didn't achieve the goal that I wanted, and that's what happened there. So even though I did get a lot better at painting from life than I was a year ago, this is one painting that I'm particularly happy with. I got a lot better, but I'm still not nearly as good enough as I'd like to be. I kind of had in my goals, like my mental goal was to get good enough to where I can start selling these paintings online and people would have a demand for them. And maybe if I put up a store with some of these paintings, I might sell 1 or 2, but I don't think there would really be a demand. I don't think too many people would care. And that's where I'm trying to be. And when I'm saying that, I'm not trying to be self-deprecating or trying to be negative. I'm trying to look at it in a more business way of selling a good. Why would someone buy this painting that's not as good as it could be when they could buy someone else who did the same thing, just a little bit better? So I'm just trying to hone in, and I know that I'm close now. I'm probably a couple months away from opening up an online store where I just sell these daily studies, and that'll really get me going and motivate me, because nothing motivates you like money. But I'm using that little bit of reinforcement to motivate me to paint more and just try to focus on improving my paintings and making them as appealing as possible for someone to say, oh, I want that to hang in my wall. So that's really my goal. I want them to be appealing. And the reason I think I'm not there yet, it's not that I think they're all just bad, but each painting is more or less hit or miss. I don't have a solid technique down or a solid way that I can achieve a good painting, or a way that I know how to paint, or anything really. Every time I sit down to paint, it's hit or miss, and I know that's kind of always how it's going to be, but I'd like to get to a point where I sit down and start painting, and I know a few tricks, and I can kind of navigate my way around a paintbrush and a palette of tubed gouache paints, like I do at Photoshop. If I open Photoshop, I know exactly where I'm going, and I don't have to stop and think about what happens if I mix green with blue in actuality. So that's kind of where I want to get with gouache, just a level of expertise so I'm comfortable with it every time I get out my paints. And I'm not there yet. And book number 4, which I finished a couple of weeks ago, While I'm doing all of these studies, I'm looking at 3 or 4 different gouache painters who I am in love with. They're all actually contemporaries, and even though I know you're not technically supposed to study contemporaries, these people are gouache masters. People like Peter Chan, who is just amazing at gouache. I can't wait to take people like Peter Chan, who is just a master at gouache. I can't wait to take one of his workshops. And I feel like he just has so much to teach me. So a lot of my paintings, I'm trying to figure out how he gets that lighting so perfect and how he does these one things. And I'm not really copying his paintings. I'm just trying to get that same feel of luminosity, which I can never seem to achieve. It's such an elusive goal. One of these days I will get it, but it hasn't happened yet. So here I took my watercolor sketchbook to a public figure drawing session, and I decided that I wasn't really feeling my drawings, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to test out my figure drawing palette setup. So I did that for one night, and these I'm pretty happy with, not so much because of the results of the painting, but because I did these paintings when I went home to visit my brother and my dad, and in my brother's house he just had a lot of friends over, and these were all people that I didn't really know because it was the hometown and I moved away 5 years ago, and so I didn't really know anyone that they had over, and they were all kind of being loud and boisterous, and I just didn't want to be there. It's not that I didn't like anyone, but I was just ready to go spend some time alone. So I actually just took my backpack with all my gouache stuff in it, and I walked out of the house and just walked until I found a park, and I started painting, and I did 2 pictures in that one sitting, both of which I actually really like. Maybe it's just because of the story. And then I did a few more paintings that weekend. And then I went back to figure drawing after I had come back from out of town, and I tried to do some figure paintings, and there was definitely not always a good result. Like, this was not a winner, as you can see here. But I kept on pushing forward, and I wasn't really happy with any of the results, but I was trying to learn, and that's that. Number 5, this is the sketchbook that I'm currently working on right now, and it's only about halfway done. And I think the problem that I'm facing right now is that something's holding me back. I'm putting a lot on my plate, like just work, freelance, teaching, making these videos. It's just a lot on my daily to-do list, and I'm kind of putting gouache on the back burner. Even though I really shouldn't be putting it on the back burner, I had made a really concrete goal to improve my gouache skills significantly, and I don't think that I've improved them to the level that I would have liked originally. So in 2016, I'm making a official goal. I have a lot of goals for 2016. In another video, I'm going to talk about the importance of making goals and how I make goals and how I see other people make goals, and that's going to be a really awesome video. But this video, I just wanted to focus on the gouache aspect. This video, I just wanted to focus on one goal and kind of hone in on why I don't think I nailed it and what was holding me back. And I think it was a lot of things. I think it was laziness, honestly. I think it was distractions. It was just being overworked and, not having a ton of time, or just not wanting to go out in the hot or the cold, which I guess is laziness. So it's on me. There's really no excuse. I could have done one of these a day. I think I averaged out one a week, or maybe one every 2 weeks. I think over the course of the year I averaged out probably one a week, which isn't amazing. That's not a great way to get better. It definitely doesn't suit what I personally wanted, but even though I didn't meet my goals specifically, I'm still really happy that I did at least this much. I still definitely put in the effort, and I still always carried around that book wherever I went. So even when I wasn't painting, I still had the option to paint. I never just gave up and said, I'll just forget about it. These are studies from Henry Storchnoff. He's a great painter. I will put a link to his Etsy store called Paintbox in the description below too. He does these cutout paper landscape paintings, and they're really, really awesome. I discovered him through the Savvy Painter podcast, where they did an interview, and that is really, really good. I would definitely recommend you check that out. I'll also put that link in the show notes below. And here's just a couple studies of his, and then some random cartoons. And this is a painting from Life from a Coffee Shop. I was really trying to play with space and negative space, but my colors kind of got wonky. And this is that same day. We went outside, me and a group of 3 other people, all playing our painting. And we just sat down, and we were in front of a river, and I painted this river scene. Probably took about 30 minutes, but I'm pretty happy with it. I do like it. And then I'm still experimenting, and there's a significant gap in these paintings, just because this is where I really got busy. This was probably about a month ago, and it was probably between this painting and this painting was about a month of time. And then I did these last week, and I'm not super happy with the results, but I kind of knew what I was going for, and I think with a few adjustments I could make them good. But after that, there is nothing else. I still have half of a book to fill up. So my goal for 2016 with these gouache paintings is kind of broken down on a month-by-month basis. It would be easier just to set a goal of like, oh, I'm going to do a gouache painting every single day for the rest of the year, or I'm going to fill up 20 sketchbooks of gouache paintings. But that's such a big idea, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around how actually difficult that would be. So I thought it would be easier to have the goal that I would open up an online shop where I sell my gouache paintings, and I have to add a new painting every single week, or I will shut the store down. Just no negotiations. I think this is kind of harsh and kind of crazy, but usually this is what it'll take to motivate me. So around February, I think I should be there to open up a store, and I'll be posting a new painting every week. And if I don't post a new painting every week, which means I have to do at least one painting every week, and if I don't do that, I will shut the store down for 1 month, which is kind of like a punishment for me, just because that would be very embarrassing. I might lose some sales because of it. You know, who knows? That's just not something that I want happen. That's just not really something that I want to have happen. So hopefully that will motivate me to do some more paintings and at least get like 2 or 3 done per week. I think that's completely doable if I just get off my butt and do it. So that's it for today. I just wanted to share with you guys a goal that I made and that I actually slipped on, and which is not totally uncommon. Nobody's perfect, and it happens to the best of us. And the important thing is here, I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm not, going crazy that it's the end of the year and I haven't met my goal of filling up like 10 gouache sketchbooks. It's not a huge deal. I'm definitely disappointed in myself, and I'm definitely kind of retrospectively asking myself, why did this happen? What can I do to make sure that it won't happen again? And what can I do to change it? But I'm not being negative towards myself. I'm just setting new goals, and I'm kind of realigning, and I'm trying to learn from this mistake. Obviously, nobody noticed. It wasn't a public goal that I made to anyone, so I don't think I've let anyone down by not doing enough paintings. This is more of a personal thing and just a self-improvement thing. If you haven't checked it out already, please head over to my Gumroad shop. I have a bunch of great stuff there. Everything is actually free, so you can grab PSD files, a 15-minute video tutorial on painting daily studies, and then I have some extra paid stuff on top of that video, like if you want PSDs or PDF documents of me explaining my workflow or a critiqued feedback. There's a lot of really awesome stuff, and I want to thank everyone who has actually bought something there already. You guys all mean a ton to me. Like, there's been a bunch of customers come through YouTube directly, and I just want to say thank you guys so much. Whether you actually paid money or whether you just got it for free, it doesn't matter to me. So that is it for this week.